mutiny, scurvy, a seal and penguin diet? Can you imagine living through all of this?
No way. Not a chance. Not this time.
All of this and more happened on the first ever trip around the world that forever changed the course of history. This man right here is Ferdinand Magellan. He's a Portuguese explorer with a taste for adventure almost the size of Captain Jack Sparrow's.
In the 1500s, Magellan is convinced that he can reach the Spice Islands by sailing westward instead of eastward like his fellow Portuguese did to get there. You see, Magellan and his fellow Portuguese had control over the eastern route to the Spice Islands thanks to the Treaty of Tordesillas.
The Treaty of Tordesillas
This was an agreement signed between the kingdoms of Spain and Portugal on June 7, 1494. Like Coke and Pepsi at the time, both Spain and Portugal were involved in an intense rivalry to see who could find and claim new territory. The treaty's main objective was to prevent conflicts between the two powers as they sought to expand their empires during the Age of Discovery. The treaty established an imaginary line running north to south 370 leagues west of the Cape Verde Islands. All lands discovered or to be discovered east of this line were assigned to Portugal, while those to the west belonged to Spain.
Damn, that's crazy.
Magellan believed that he could map a new route to India and Indonesia by sailing westward instead of east and going through a rumored channel through South America. Unfortunately, he was charged with illegal trading by the Portuguese king at that time, Manuel I, and his proposal to undertake this voyage was denied.
Sit down.
Magellan then focused his attention on the new king of Spain, Charles I. Spain quickly needed to find a new commercial route to Asia because of the economic significance of the spice trade. If Magellan's expedition was successful, Spain would have access to the goods of the East again. Magellan would also get a decade-long monopoly on any route he might find, a cut of the profits, and a noble title as well.
Yes! 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 Yes!
So in 1519, Magellan gathers his crew and they set sail with a fleet of 5 ships. Keep in mind that this is long before GPS or Wi-Fi, so these guys are navigating purely by stars and some mad gut instincts. I mean, I can barely get back home without Google Maps, so respect to them.
Respect. West Side.
As with most Spanish-funded projects, the crew were a diverse group, including French, German, Greek, and Afro-descended crew members. Besides Magellan's Portuguese close friends and family, Spaniards and other Europeans with sailing experiences were brought in, some of them to work off debts. Magellan's second in command was a Spanish supervisor and accountant, Juan de Cartagena, remember him, and the record keeper was the Venetian Antonio Pigafetta. Magellan was in a precarious position with his mostly Spanish crew and overall mission. He was a traitor in the eyes of the Portuguese, and the Spanish despised the fact that they were sailing under a Portuguese commander. The only Portuguese captains were Magellan and João Serrao, with Magellan in command of the largest ship, the Trinidad, and Serrao in command of the Santiago. The 3 other ships, the San Antonio, the Concepcion, and the Victoria, were captained by Spaniards, and constant Spanish conspiring against the Portuguese would be disastrous.
Spanish trust was not promoted by Magellan, who kept everything secret until the ships were out at sea. As part of his plan, he chose Portuguese sailing routes, which he was very accustomed to, but his crew, not so much. Morale was almost non-existent as the fleet crossed the Atlantic.
By the time the ships arrived on the coast of what is now Brazil to wait out the southern hemisphere winter, many aboard were hurting from scurvy, and the Spanish captains were in open rebellion against their Portuguese captain. Juan de Cartagena, remember him, led the effort as he resented Magellan's secrecy. The mutineers did manage to take 3 out of 5 ships, but they were eventually captured, and Cartagena was exiled to a deserted island off the coast. A scouting mission to the south during the winter of 1520 resulted in the destruction of the Santiago, which ran aground. Even though the Santiago's crew survived, the loss put even more pressure on them. Okay, fast forward a bit.
Magellan and his crew have braved treacherous seas, sea storms that make skydiving look like a Sunday stroll, and I'm sure seagulls always came by and stole their snacks.
Curva! But guess what? By late spring, surviving on sail and penguin meat,
Bulk season is coming.
the Armada stumble upon something magical, the Strait of Magellan, a narrow body of water separating mainland South America from Tierra del Fuego. It's like finding a secret passage in a video game. Can you imagine their excitement? The Armada encountered another setback as the San Antonio became separated from the rest and had to turn back, returning to Spain.
Once the 3 remaining ships reached the other side of the treacherous strait, the sea that they found was tranquil and calm. Magellan christened it the Pacific Ocean. Crossing the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean posed its own difficulties, and 29 sailors were lost over the 4-month voyage.
Now begins the ultimate test of their courage, the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. And let me tell you, this part of the journey makes surviving a Monday morning feel like a piece of cake.
I can't do it! I can't.
These poor sailors had to endure months and months of being stuck on a tiny boat with nothing but endless waves and each other's company. It's like a never-ending episode of Survivor, but with scurvy instead of immunity challenges.
I'm done. No!
The crew faced all sorts of hardships, hunger, disease, and probably some questionable personal hygiene, but they never gave up. Fueled by their unwavering commitment to reach the Spice Islands and secure their status as the ultimate explorers, they sailed on against all odds.
Just do it!
In April 1521, the expedition arrived at Cebu, an island in the Pacific that is now part of the Philippines. As the first Europeans to lay eyes on these islands, Magellan's crew unknowingly laid the groundwork for extensive Spanish colonization that would last until 1898. Magellan formed a friendship with the local ruler Raja Humabon and found himself entangled in local politics, ultimately leading to his downfall. On April 27, 1521, Magellan went to battle against Lapu-Lapu, a ruler on Mactan Island who refused to pay tribute to Raja Humabon and the King of Spain. In a skirmish fought in shallow waters near the shore, Magellan and 49 of his men confronted over 1,000 Mactanese warriors. Faced with overwhelming odds, Magellan lost his life along with 7 of his men, and the surviving ships returned to Cebu. Displeased with the loss suffered by the newcomers, Raja Humabon hosted a feast where he poisoned a group of the highest-ranking members of the expedition, leaving less than half of the original crew. The remaining members set sail seeking safety at sea. On May 2, 1521, those who remained rushed onto the Concepcion and redistributed the crew between the remaining 2, the Trinidad and the Victoria. Over the next 6 months, the ships engaged in piracy as they continued their journey toward the Spice Islands.
Yeah?
Finally, in November, they reached the island of Tidore in the Malucus, where they loaded their holds with cloves. However, the Trinidad, which was taking on water, became irreparable and had to be abandoned, along with its crew.
Unlucky.
Juan Sebastian Elcano, a Spaniard, was elected captain of the remaining ship, the Victoria. They set sail westward towards the Cape of Good Hope at the southern tip of Africa. This grueling voyage lasted 6 months, on which they were on a purely rice diet. Can you imagine? On September 6, 1522, approximately 1,082 days after they set out, the Victoria finally reached harbor in Spain, marking the end of their journey and their circumnavigation nearly 3 years after they first set out. Throughout their journey, they encountered a new ocean, they charted new routes for European trade, and played a significant role in shaping modern global connections.
I gotta say it was a good day.
But alas, out of the 270 sailors that began this voyage, only 18 survived.
Although Magellan is now celebrated for his achievement of circumnavigating the globe, his reputation immediately after the expedition was tarnished by the surviving crew members. Both the sailors of the Victoria and those from the San Antonio, the ship that had returned back from the Strait of Magellan in 1520, criticized him and held negative opinions of his leadership.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
In contrast, Juan Elcano, who had joined the voyage with the hope of receiving a royal pardon, was hailed as a hero upon their return. He received an esteemed welcome and was even granted nobility status. To commemorate the historic voyage, Elcano added a globe and the phrase "first to circumnavigate me" to his coat of arms. In Spain, the expedition is commonly referred to as the Magellan-Elcano expedition, recognizing the contributions of both leaders.
The voyage was extremely challenging and dangerous for everyone that was involved, but it marked the beginning of a new era in global trade and the developments of globalization that continue to shape our world today. The expedition also shed light on so many unknown aspects of the world at that time.
One significant accomplishment was the calculation of the Earth's total circumference by Spain for the first time. This discovery revealed that the Pacific Ocean was much wider than previously believed, leading to Spain staking its claim to several Pacific islands as defined by the Treaty of Tordesillas. Additionally, Spain seized control of the Philippines and initiated explorations in the Eastern Pacific.
By the 1600s, Spanish territories became a massive producer of silver, with around a third of that portion solely being traded to China. This had far-reaching effects on global economies and strategies as it drove Spain to the pinnacle of European power.
Then there's the establishment of the international dateline. Upon their return to Spain, the sailors of the Victoria discovered that they were a day behind according to their calculations. Since they had been sailing against the Earth's rotation, they had lost hours in their reckoning, leading to the need for a new way of delineating time and dates across the globe.
The voyage wasn't only a daring exploration, but it was a pivotal moment in human history. It sparked a chain of events that transformed global trade, geopolitics, and our understanding of the world's vastness.
Sacrifice in all. No sacrifice, no rewards. What will you give up?